here in Buenos Aires, celebrating the 20th anniversary of the London School of Economics Argentinian Alumni Association. And we are with Professor Victor Beker, which was the former president and the one that initiated this process. Could you please tell us about the beginning? How did you start? When did you start? How many people were attending at that time, please?
With pleasure. It was at the beginning of the 90s. I remember that there was a request by the LSEAA to the LSEAA alumni in the world to volunteer to become a contact point in each country to get in touch with the LSEAA alumni in that country. I volunteered, they accepted me, and so I became the contact point in Argentina for LSEAA alumni. I started building up a database of LSEAA alumni in this country. Well, it was not so easy because you have to remember that at that time we used it as the main tools, telephone and fax. There was no email at that time in Argentina, so that it was a time-consuming activity.
That was 1986?
No, at the beginning of the 90s.
The beginning of the 90s, 1996.
I am speaking of 1990, 1991, at that time. After a couple of years, we were a certain number of LSEAA alumni. We met. It was a very informal organization. We met from time to time until in 1996, Joaquín Ibáñez came from LSE, and he's a lawyer, so he's very formal, and so he insisted that we had to become a more formal organization. And this was the reason why we met in November 1996 and founded what has become the LSE Alumni Association in Argentina.
And what were the first activities that you undertook at that time? I mean, how did you gather the people?
Well, we have a regular activity. It was a monthly lunch, which was organized always with a keynote speaker. In some cases, it was a distinguished LSE alumni, like the former president of the Central Bank of Argentina, Javier González Fraga, or the well-known politician and historian Rodolfo Terraño, just to give two names. This was an activity in which a very key role was played by who was the secretary of the LSE Alumni Association at that time, Ursula Sturzenegger, who was in charge of inviting the speakers and organizing the lunch, so that this activity was very regular, and we had around from 15 to 25 attendants each time, according to the interest and the availability of time of each one.
I remember those lunches. I participated in some of them. Was it difficult at that time to gather the people, to make them attend? I mean, how was your strategy? So if it could be replicated in some other countries, how did you gather the people when they are coming from so many different disciplines, like in LSE?
Well, what we did was to choose an attractive keynote speaker from different disciplines, and of course, if he was an economist, most of the people who came were economists. If he was a lawyer, most of the people were lawyers. At that time, we also have the facility that we have an agreement with the Belgian Alumni Club and also with the MIT Alumni Club, so that it was not only an activity for the LSE people, but also for
open to other universities.
Open to these two clubs, so that it allowed to have a hardcore of people coming to the lunches. I don't know if it's a valid formula nowadays. At that time, face-to-face contact was important.
Yes, it would have been impossible to record a video, for instance. It's much easier now, but at that time, that was the only way.
But on the other hand, you didn't have Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, so that it was quite different situation.
Claro. And I remember that many other schools and universities joined to form a wider organization that was named Alpha, and LSEAA Alumni Association, Argentinian Alumni Association, was one of the founders.
Exactly.
Could you tell us the experience?
Yes. At that time, some of the alumni clubs which we were working together suggested to found an association of all of our associations.
Yes.
And that became Alpha, which was very, very successful. I remember they make several annual celebrations at Malva, the well-known art museum, with an attendance of 300 or 400 people. So that it was a very, very interesting initiative and very successful.
And what do you miss about London, since you have studied there? I mean, perhaps have you gone to London recently?
Yes, I regularly go because my son lives in England, but I miss everything. For me, it's the best city to live in the world.
But you know, I have been there recently, and how LSE has changed so much, so many buildings, new buildings, and the library as well.
Yes, I visited some of them.
And one of the books of yours, you have some books in the libraries as well?
Perhaps.
Yeah, because he will not say.
I didn't check.
Yeah, but he will not say because he's very humble, but he's one of the most recognized authors in Argentina in the field of economics. He has written so much and he's very well respected about that subject. What, in perspective, for other alumni associations, LSE alumni associations who are trying to form or to replicate this process, what would be your suggestion? How to work? How to conduct? How to gather the people into the association?
Well, the first thing we did, and of course this is the first step, is to have a list with the emails of everyone and to invite them to some activity which has some attraction.
Okay.
It may be a very well-known speaker or some other thing, or I don't know exactly what can be nowadays something which attracts people, but of course it's not just gathering the alumni, but to have something which makes them
be interested
in devoting some time, which is a scarce resource nowadays, to this activity.
And I remember, I mean, he perhaps may follow me, so many professors from LSE have come during these 20 years. I remember the visit of Charles Goodhart. I remember the other one, I don't remember his name now, but how many professors have come?
Many professors come during that time. Even the then director of LSE, Anthony Giddens, came here, and it was a big success. I remember that together with the British Embassy we organized several activities, even one with a great success at the San Martin Theatre, which gathered around 600 people, something like that.
So many people.
Yeah. Well, he was very well known.
Yes, of course. And the British Embassy was of help for the Alumni Association?
Yes.
Would you think it can be of help for another alumni associations?
Absolutely. For us it was of great help in those activities in which they had an argument to participate in.
Okay, are you happy with what you have done here in Argentina?
Yes, of course.
Well, thank you very much, Professor Beker. We were very happy that you have initiated this process, some other people have continued, which is very, very important, and we would like to show you our appreciation. Thank you very
You are
much.
very welcome.